Hi, thank you so much for watching your Multicultural channel. My name is Fernanda Vallejo. In the last couple of years, we received a lot of immigrants. And when you're moving to a new country, you try to bring all your family, but you cannot bring your own home. In this episode, we're gonna figure out how to start with our specialist, Michelle Zabaro. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm actually very honored to be here today. And I absolutely love this because I love to share the knowledge so we can start right in the country that we're going to. So yeah, my name is Michelle Zabaro. I'm a Latina. I came from Colombia around 9-10 years ago.
Okay.
And I'm a mortgage advisor. I manage couple properties, and I'm also a Latin singer.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so Michelle, a lot of people are wondering how to start when you're a newcomer. How you get a credit, how you can buy a house. Please.
Okay, so the first thing you should do is open a bank account.
Okay.
Basically, where you can deposit your money, bring your money from back home. So that's something that I can definitely help you. Like, I work for a financial institution that has absolutely all the services available to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get to contact me and I can help you to do that. Not myself, but my team. Yeah. Now, the next thing that we need to make sure is to not be afraid of the credit.
Okay.
So credit card is something that we can do at the time that we're opening a bank account. Depending on the financial institution you're going to work with, they can give you one right away.
Okay.
So when you use your credit well in Canada, and we're going to talk about what it means to use well your credit in Canada, how to establish what it means and establish credit in Canada, then you can pretty much buy a house very soon. You don't really need to have a build credit in Canada for that. But in the future, any other products, apart from what you can get as a newcomer, will be very important for you to already have all that established. So it makes the process so much easier and smoothly for you.
Sure.
So when you get a credit card in Canada, which you will as a work permit, even if you don't have a job, and as a student for sure, there is a different kind of promotion for newcomers. That's something that I can talk to any of you guys whenever you're here, talking to me directly. Now, the main thing is to use it and pay it on time.
Okay. So if there's a newcomer, well, someone who's going to be a newcomer that is ready to come to Canada, to move in here, but they are planning to open their bank account from their countries. Is that possible?
Yeah, there's some financial institutions that they have that option.
Okay.
It all depends what kind of banks they have in their home country that have that same agreement with these other banks in Canada. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the best bank, it all depends. So there's other banks, like the main banks in Canada, the biggest ones, they don't have that option. They are a little bit more, they don't have a bank in their home country, so they will have to do it here. Now, you can start the application online, but then you have to be face-to-face to an agent to verify that you're the person you're saying you are, and then they will activate the account.
Activate the account. So you cannot just transfer all your money before arriving to Canada?
Not right away, but that depends which institution you're working with.
Yeah, sure. Okay. And how to start your credit, building your credit here in Canada? Do you bring your credit history from your country, or it's something?
I mean, we sometimes can use the credit from back home, but for specific things, like buying a house. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
But for you to start fresh and get all the products you want, no, you don't. You start here. Otherwise, we will use the one back home.
Okay.
But just for a house, you have that option. So there's main services that for Canada are like, okay, this is something that everybody needs to have. A vehicle and a house.
Okay.
These two are the main ones that most likely you will have access to, even if you don't have credit in Canada.
Even if you don't have credit.
Yeah.
Okay.
For a car, for example, you need to have a minimum 6 months of a credit card.
Okay.
And as long as you've been paying it well, you have created tiny little dips of credit. That's enough for a dealership to give you a loan. But if you get into a loan, then you cannot buy a house.
Okay.
Not because of the loan, but because of the capacity of that you have acquired.
Like the plan, no?
Yeah, like the monthly payment that you're paying for that vehicle is taking amount of mortgage that you can be able to pay.
Okay.
So now maybe the house of your dream is far away in the years. So very important to don't get into any loans if you don't have to right away. Try to buy a car in cash in the meantime if your dream is to buy a home soon. Sure, right? Like, of course, when we talk, I will actually identify by our conversation what's the most important thing right now for you, because it all depends. So how do you build a credit in Canada? You get a credit card.
Okay.
And you use it wisely. Established credit in Canada is minimum 2 credit cards per person, not per family.
Okay, per
So
person.
you're my husband, I'm your wife. You need to have 2, I need to have 2.
Okay.
And we don't have to get in debt and just don't pay. No, like you try to divide expenses. So for example, with one we buy groceries, with the other one I buy my makeup, with the other one I buy my clothes, and of course everything is about me. With the other one we buy everything for him,
Okay.
for the kids. So we try to split the
Groceries.
expenses
Okay.
and then we pay it. So something that I always recommend, and I have done this since I came here 10 years ago, is that I buy absolutely everything with my credit card.
Okay.
Everything, the coffee, the whatever, everything. But then I don't even wait until the statement. I just pay. Like I transfer from my checking
account.
to the credit and it's in zero. So I don't worry if I didn't pay on time. I don't worry, nothing. So the credit cards in Canada, they're not used as an extra income.
Okay.
On the opposite, they're just for emergencies. But you need them. You need to use them all the time. So you create history. You're showing to the financial institutions what's your character, what's your credit character, what's your credit maturity. So anytime that a financial institution, a bank, credit union, anything, is going to give you money for anything, we're going to look at how he's doing. Is he paying on time? Does he has a $1,000 credit card and he's maxed out, like he's $999,
Okay.
and he's not paying that down? Well, that means you cannot. You're having issues with paying this down. Why
Sure, they
are
cannot
we
give you.
going to give you an extra card?
Sure.
It's like sending you down to a big hole, right? Like we don't want to do that. So it's very important to always use them if you want all the time to the top, but pay it completely. Or if you need to leave any debt, then you leave 50%
Okay.
of the limit. Let's say a credit card of $1,000, we're gonna leave 500. But because I had to, it was an emergency, and I don't have the money right now. And then you have to make the payments on time. And right now, honestly, there is no excuses.
Sure.
All the majority of institutions, they have an automatic payment that you can do,
Okay.
at least for the minimum payment. So then you never missed it. Like if you got sick, if something happened, light happens, whatever, it's happening right away. Like the payment is getting through, and then you can just pay the rest if you want. Whenever you remember, it's like, oh, right, I need to transfer that money. But you pay the minimum, so you're never late.
Is it better to pay before the due date?
Yeah, like there is a myth that if you pay interest, you're growing your credit bureau score. That's not true.
Okay.
That is a huge myth. You just need to have transactions. You just
Okay.
need to show I used it, paid, used it, paid, used it, paid. So what I've done all my life, I've never paid a cent of interest. I just use it for everything, get cash back.
There's a lot of movement there.
Yeah, and get a bunch of little things that credit cards give you. So they give you cash back. They give you some banks, they have like cinema. Some have, it depends on what credit card you have. At the beginning, you might not have the most amazing one, but that one is the one who is going to open the doors for the best ones.
For sure.
And some of them has cashback. Some of them have another kind of nice things, rewards. So you use all that credit card, you get all those rewards, and then you don't pay interest. Why not? That's the smart way to do it. But if I have to pay interest, it's only because I really had to.
You had emergency.
And then we make sure it's less than 50%, if not 50%.
Okay.
And then we pay it down slowly, right? Or we pay it down maybe in 3 months or whatever. So when you do that, the institutions are going to start calling you and be like, hey, you know what? You're doing so well with your credit card. I want to increase your limit to 3,000. I want to increase your limit to 5,000. You say yes because now this 50% of emergency fund has increased. If you have a 5,000 now, you can actually beyond 2,500 if you need to at some point in your life without affecting your credit.
Sure.
So how do I build credit? I just use my credit card for everything. How to not damage it? Pay on time. Use it all if you want to, but pay it off completely. Or if you leave any debt, will be 50% or less.
Okay.
Try to use this is the grace period, which is like, I think it's 2 weeks. It depends on the banks. It's 2 weeks period that if you pay it before the 2 weeks, you're not paying at all of interest.
Okay.
Or if you have to pay interest, then let's try to make sure it's within that 50%, right? Another thing that happens a lot that I've noticed is that we have our credit maxed out. So we have this 900, let's say $1,000. We have a 900 balance. And suddenly we forgot we have a prepaid, let's say it's paying Netflix.
Okay.
Or maybe more than that. We need more, right? For $100. But whatever it is, it goes out.
Okay.
And you forgot. Now your $1,000 is used $1,200.
Okay.
Now is over the limit. That will absolutely damage your credit.
Okay.
So if you are actually struggling with your credit card, you need to make sure it's a little bit lower so you have the space for those things to come through and not going over the limit.
Sure.
As you pay it down. So that's why I said, like, sometimes our life is hard. As a newcomers, we have so much to do. There is a cultural shock. There is so many things. So try to use the tools that are given. And if you don't know, well, that's what I'm here for, to make sure that everything is optimized for you. So then you don't have to worry about that anymore. You can focus on everything else. There's so many things. Plus, if you come with kids and so on, it's even crazier.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing. Just pay everything on time. Make sure it never goes over the limit. And if you don't want to pay any interest, then use it, pay it. Use it, pay it. And then you're going to be fine.
Sure.
Now, for buying a house, you don't need that. For buying a house, you don't need to have established credit. So the 2 credit cards for 2 years in good standing, you don't need that to buy a house. But you need that whenever you want to get an extra loan for anything that you want to do in life, or a line of credit that is like a credit card but with lower interest.
Yeah.
That you can use, and usually those are 15, 20,000, 25,000. So it's like a larger credit card per se, but the interest is way lower. So those are amazing products to have in case you need them.
Right.
For anything, right? But if you want to have access to them, then you do need to have the 2 years with 2 bank products in good standing.
Okay.
If you don't have a house, right? Because if you have a house and now you have a credit card, now you have 2 years, then you're fine.
That's great.
For buying a house, it's completely different, and we're going to talk about that in a minute.
What is a bad credit?
A bad credit, we're talking about 600. It all depends on the institutions and programs and what kind of product you're applying to, but we're going to say 600 and lower.
Okay.
From 600 to 623 is still kind of like, you're struggling. It's like on the red zone. And then 680 plus, you're golden.
Fine.
You're fine, but something is happening. That's why you're in the 600s. Like normally, if you've done everything as I'm telling you, you're like 700 or plus.
Okay.
Usually. If not, then something happened. And that's when we can look and check.
And how can we know what's our credit?
Okay, so anytime that you are going to get any kind of banking product or phone or, the phone company might not show you your credit, but like what is a financial institution or anything like that, they will pull your credit. Sometimes they will share with you like what's the score. But in reality, anytime that there is somebody in the middle, is taking some points from you.
Okay.
Like 3 to 4 points. It all depends on the institution. It depends on the service. But let's say, for example, it's 4 points.
Okay.
So if you're at 780, it doesn't do anything to you. It's nothing.
Okay.
It will come back to normal after 6 months if nobody else is checking your credit, right? But if you're at 600 and maybe there was a light outside of the tunnel for you to get that product, now that we pulled it, you went down. That's it. Nobody's going to touch you until it goes back up.
Okay.
So it will affect you big time. It will be like, but for you to get there, there's a lot of history. Something has happened very wrong that got you to that critical point that if somebody touched you, that's it, you're done. So it is very important to don't check your credit if you don't have to.
With a third party.
With nobody, just you directly with TransUnion and Equifax. So what I tell to my clients is be as honest as you can with me. There is no shame and there is confidentiality. Everything you tell me, I work for a bank, so I cannot go out there and be like, yeah, no, everything is gonna stay there and it's gonna allow me to help you to analyze what is the best options for you, how we can fix it, how we can not damage it more. So when I have a client that tells me, you know what, Michelle, I went bankruptcy, or since I came here, I've been doing everything wrong with my credit card. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna touch your credit because I'm gonna affect you. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send you the links directly so you go to the main companies that get all the reports from every single company that is lending you any kind of service or money. This is TransUnion and Equifax. These are the two companies that are collecting your behavior with all the credit everywhere in Canada. So how do you pay your phone? How do you, like anything, or how do you pay your credit card? So it's not only the credit cards, it's services. And they will also know if you're owing something, if you never paid it, if it went to collections. So I will tell you, I'm not gonna touch your credit, you go directly with them, because when you are directly, there is not a middleman, there's no pool. If there's no pool, there's no deduction of your points of your credit score. So then you send me that and I'll go and I'll explain you. If you don't understand, that's what I'm here for. We check, okay, what's going on? This has happened. Okay, explain me this. And then we know how to right away identify the problem and fix it. Okay, maybe you won't get what you want right away, but you're gonna be so much closer than your dream coming true than doing nothing about it. If you don't know what to do, I will tell you what to do. And if I don't know, I'll get the information so you know what to do.
So how often should we review our credit score?
I will say it's important for you to do it at least once a year. Why? Because sometimes it has happened. You change addresses and you forgot to return the wireless box or a cable, and they will charge you for it. And maybe they were sending you to that address the letter. You never got it, then boom, it's on collections. And then just then, maybe you never knew anyways, and at the time that you're gonna get a product, it's like, you have a collections, we're not gonna give you anything, you're owing money, you know? So you're like, what? And that happens. So that happens. Also for students, you forgot to return a book, or maybe you return it, but they never mark it like it was returned. Now it's there. On collection. So tiny little things like that, and will drop your score right away. Because it's just showing that you're not responsible, even though it's not your fault, but at the same time it is. We have the options to check and have control of this. If we don't check, then we have no control. I also recommend to check once a year, because sometimes we have other people using our name, our SIN number, our address to get products.
Things can happen like a separation, and we were like sharing expenses. Right? And then
that's a great point. Something that happened with one of my clients recently is that he actually, he had a bank. So he had his bank, and in his bank, it was not showing anything. Like, he was fine. But then on his credit, it was showing on that same bank, with that exactly same bank, a loan. And then he remembered, oh my God, I was a guarantor for my ex-wife, and we divorced like 5 years ago, and she's paying everything on time, so it's not affecting my credit. That's what I didn't even realize. But it is affecting my capacity, because now he has this monthly extra expense that he was not even thinking of. So if he would have checked before, he will never go to that hard stop. We were days of getting funding on the home, so it's the stress, right? Like, so checking your credit once a year is good, so you make sure if something you forgot, because of course he even forgot to put it in the separation agreement. Completely. Thankfully, they had a very amicable relationship, so it was a matter of talking to her, and then she was like, oh my God, yeah, you're gone and paid, I'm good. So we were able to do it, but in other circumstances, it will be a hot mess.
Okay. And how about the people that went through bankrupt or credit consolidation? Are they able to fix their credit, and if they have the willingness of buying a house in a few
Yes. So when it comes to bankruptcy, it is a tough one.
Okay.
Like debt consolidation is also like consumer proposal or bankruptcy. They're pretty much the same, but the bankruptcy, it will take 7 years for a bank to look at you,
Okay.
and then you need to have a rebuild credit for minimum 2 years. How? You will have to do it with a capital card or something from a superstore card, because nobody else is going to do it.
Yeah.
So, but as long as you have that for 2 years and you've been doing it well, like you have changed your character, so it doesn't matter what happened in
You're
the past.
responsible.
Yeah, like, I mean, sometimes I will never judge because something happened. A client got sick and he couldn't work and everything went downhill.
Yeah.
And he was the only one making the money at home. Mom was a homemaker taking care of the babies. So everything can change in a minute.
That's right.
That's why I always say there's protection packages. We'll talk about that another time. But
Yeah, the next
there's
session.
ways that you can always make sure that if something happens, your family is not having the main hit, you know? But in this case, for example, that can happen. Or somebody died and you got in full depression. Like, I mean, anything can happen in life. And that's why you were perfect paying and then you went downhill. Or maybe you never had education,
Yeah.
the financial literacy. So you always done everything wrong and there was nobody telling you what to do. How is that your fault, you know?
Right.
Now, there's other situations that, yeah, okay, you're just really bad with your credit.
And they can fix these
Yes,
situations.
we can fix it. And what matters for the institutions is to see a change of character.
Okay.
So anytime that a bank is going to give you any kind of product, we're going to check various things. We're going to check how many products you have, how long it takes you to pay them. Do you pay them on time? Do you use them too much? And how do they know if you use them too much? Because it's showing a balance. So if you use it paid, they're not going to see a balance. It's going to be at zero. But you have a great history. Like there's a activity on it. It's active. It's going and it's giving you a great rank. But if you have everything maxed out, I have 3 credit cards, $1,000 each, and they're all at 900. Oh my God. It's like you're struggling. It looks like, oh, he's struggling. He cannot pay them down. That's how it looked like. Even if you have the money there and you just forgot. That's how it looks like, and that's affecting you.
And if you have the money to pay the credit card, example, that $9,000, your credit is still affected, no?
Or it all depends on the limit of the credit card. Remember, so if I have $5,000 owing, but my credit card is $10,000, and I always pay on time, it's not affecting your credit.
Okay.
Because you're paying on time. Maybe if you have it too long, but if you had it maybe a couple months,
That's right.
as long as you make your payments, the minimum payment, and you start lowering the debt, even if it's $50, but you're paying interest plus 50 towards the debt, you're still showing that you're paying it down. If it takes you a while, it's fine because it's not more than 50%.
Okay.
So it is very, very important to understand it. You can use the full limit of your credit card. Of course you can. But you cannot owe the full amount of your credit card.
Sure.
You need to owe nothing, or if you have to, because that's the problem. Sometimes we use this as an extra income. This is not. This is an emergency fund per se. In Canada, it's like that. It's what it is. Maybe back home was different. It doesn't matter. This is how it is in Canada, and this is how we have to follow in order to open all the doors. Otherwise, they're gonna all close. So if I have a credit card in Canada and I use it all the time to the top, but I pay it down before the statement is out, or maybe after 3 days, or maybe before the grace period, which is usually 2 weeks, then you're gonna be fine. Your credit is gonna be fine. Everybody's gonna start calling you. Hey, you're doing amazing. I'm gonna increase your credit, and you say yes. And the idea is not that you're gonna go in debt and go crazy. No, because if you do everything as I'm telling you, you're responsible. You're not using more than what you have on your debit.
That's right.
You use everything with your credit card. You get cashback. You get this. You get whatever points for cinema, whatever, and then you pay. You don't pay interest if you don't want to. Then you have all these rewards, and now you have a good credit score. When I see a client that has 2-3 credit cards, 25,000 limit, $1,000 balance.
Mm-hmm.
15,000 limit, 3,000 balance.
Okay.
What it's showing me is that this person is so responsible. He has access to so much money, but he's not using it.
Yeah.
He's not. But that shows that for him to have that amount, it means that he's been doing everything as I'm telling you. If he would do it wrong, he will have a $500 credit card for 10 years.
Oh my gosh.
And maybe he's owing $450. Okay. That's usually how it is. So, yeah, bankruptcy, we can help, but it takes years. Consumer proposal, we can help, but the whole thing has to be paid off.
Yeah.
And he has to have a rebuild credit for 2 years.
2 years.
Now, sometimes we do have, depending of for example, for a house, depending of the down payment, if it's more than 20% or so on, we have bill lenders, we have private lenders that we have like our internal broker that is gonna go through those. And what they're gonna do is they're gonna maybe give you a higher interest, but they're gonna take you in. You're gonna do everything right for the next 2 years, and then you come back to us in a lower interest, and you're all good. Now you're standing strong and going to the future with a complete different, opportunities.
Sure. So basically, you're helping your clients, right, to build the credit in order to get their houses in the future. Now, is it possible for someone that came years ago and didn't get the financial education to get the house that they always were dreaming about?
Absolutely. Like that's when I come to be your advisor. So if you're completely honest with me, then I might be like, oh, I'm not touching credit, but do this and that. Bring me that. I'll educate you, and we're gonna change that.
Sure.
Okay, maybe it's not gonna happen right away. Maybe it's gonna take 1-2 years. It all depends of how fast you pay everything down. It all depends. Each situation of family is completely different.
Sure.
Depends of their income, if they have savings to pay everything off, or if they don't, and they actually need to start lowering down the most expensive ones. It's better for you to have 3 credit cards with $500 each to have 1 full balance.
Sure.
So sometimes it's better to spread that like that because it's gonna not affect your credit as much, right?
Sure.
So each situation, I will look at it differently, and then we're gonna find what we need to fix, and then depending on that, and if nothing else happens from then on, we should be able to get our dreams in place.
Right.
Now, I think one of the most important thing is just to understand that a bank or a financial institution will see what happened. We are not robots. My job is to explain as best as possible the situation that occurred when all this went downhill. Of course, sometimes it's still a no, but we can always try. We can always try, and at the end, if it doesn't happen right now, at least we're getting closer.
Yeah, and most of Canadians, newcomers, and people in general, they rent an apartment, they rent a house when they can use the money to start saving and projecting for their new houses, right?
Absolutely.
So what's your best suggestion for them?
I will say get in contact with me. No, I will say let's control what we can control. So there are so many ways. Right now, there is really no excuse for paying late. Unless your institution that you're working with doesn't have those options. But then there's other ones that they have all the options to make it easier for you. So you never have a return check that damage you. You never have a collection in your credit that damage you. You never have late payments because all of those things damage you. And the problem is that life happens. We get sick, whatever. But if we have those things there, then you can control the rest, right? Main thing is, as we talked before, so important for you to check your credit once a year, but not through any institution, directly. With the companies, with the two of them, because sometimes you find things in one, sometimes you find things in other. So it's important to check both. If you don't know, then contact me. I'll guide you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so some people may be wondering how you, Michelle, got into this career.
Oh, okay. So it's funny because I think as a Latina, just the fact of leaving everything behind, my whole family, everything that I had back home, because I was comfortable there.
Sure.
It was a huge jump. But when you start with one jump, then you jump faster and easier to different things in life. It's like we come with this crazy, I'm just going to risk it, and try this and try new things. And that's what happens to all newcomers. We are leaving everything behind. We're hoping for a new life, and we just need to try things. So in my case, I started as a hostess in a hotel and a restaurant inside of a hotel. And then I moved up from hostess to server, to bartender, to supervisor, to assistant manager. And when I was there, I felt like I couldn't move up anymore, and it was killing me because I always wanted to do something higher.
Something else.
Yeah. So I met somebody that was working as a manager of used cars in a dealership. And he was a good friend, and he was like, you should sell cars. And I'm like, I don't even know how to change a tire. And he was like, it's okay, I'll teach you. And I was like, okay, well, let's jump. And I jumped again.
Okay.
And it was a great business. But then I was kind of hating the hours. And I just made my own company. Was kind of a tiny company where you were coming to me, Michelle, I have this budget, this, I need this. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take you to whatever dealership. And I already had like an agreement with them.
Right.
Yeah. So I was going there selling you, okay. Anyways, at some point I had some benefits with one dealership. And they were like, we need you here. And I was like, no. And they were like, well, if you're out, then we take the benefits from you. And I was like, okay, I'm going. So I went there and I met my boss.
Okay.
I mean, my ex-boss, she's not my boss anymore, but she used to be my boss. And I sold her husband a truck.
Nice.
And then she was like, have you ever thought about being a mortgage advisor? And I was like,
That's great. I don't even know what that is.
I was like, just sign here. We'll talk about that later. Just sign. And then she talked to me about it, and she loved the way I was with my own business, how I was managing everything, because I had different, like the same as I work with people all over Canada. So I can work with absolutely everyone in Canada.
Nice.
Any province.
You have that approach.
Yeah, so it's the same. It's like different dealerships now is different offices all over Canada.
Okay.
So the organization skills is very important. And she saw that in me. She saw that I had sales experience, outside prospecting. So I bring in clients, right? Like from, as a singer, I get a lot of exposure. That helps me. So people know me for various things. In the past was a singer and selling cars. Now it's singer and them. No. Next time we'll do that.
Okay.
So that exposure helped me, and then she was like, okay, the only thing that you need is the finances. So I do have a background in psychology from back home, and that helps with sales. Even though I don't practice as a psychologist here, you have all the knowledge from it, and
Like you can read your client a little bit.
I mean, no, like you understand it more. Like you listen because that's what you do. And in this case, what I did was pretty much get all the studies and certificates and everything in the bank. The bank.
So they'll give you the training.
They'll give you everything.
Great.
But you need to have the sales experience. You need to have the outside prospecting and the organization skills, because it's crazy. Like the amount of things you have.
What's the best part of your job?
There's many. I mean, I'm full-time commission, which makes it like a tough job. It's tough, right?
Tough,
There's low, high, low, but I manage my own schedule.
Okay, that's great.
So that's great, yeah. And I love more than selling houses, like selling the credit for the houses, is the happiness behind that for the people, or when I'm fixing somebody's credit.
Okay.
When we are fixing, not me, like we are together as a team getting there, and now this person has again cash flow, they again can go on holidays, they can again leave,
So you're a people's person.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I love this job so much, because in the past, selling cars was different, but this one is so parallel to my principles.
Yeah.
I have to tell you everything. I have to be transparent. I have to think 5 to 10 years from your whatever you want.
Okay.
So I have to, in order to give you a good advice, to be a good person and a good advisor, I need to make sure I take care of your dreams, not just whatever you want right now. So I will analyze you. I'll ask you a bunch of questions, but it's only because I want to give you the best advice. I want to give you the best term, not just a rate. A rate is nothing. If I'm giving you the worst term and then you have to pay a penalty because you want to sell your house, you save so much money.
Yeah, but in case that someone wants to sell the house after all the four, right? That's an investment. That's a big investment
It
because you
is.
can just fix the house and sell it a bit expensive, more expensive. No?
Absolutely. And if you pay rent all the time, then you're just wasting money.
Sure.
Lots of money. And there is, you don't need, as we were talking, we don't need credit to buy a house.
Or a
but
car.
our credit has to be good, not damaged.
Sure.
If you have zero credit, doesn't matter. If you have a bad credit, then I'm sorry, there's nothing that we can do. So for example, for a car, you only need a credit card for 6 months. But if you get a car, you don't get a house. It's that simple. Let's get the car after the house.
Yeah.
And that all depends what your
Pay
credit card.
cash, as you said.
If you want a house,
Okay.
you don't need to have a credit. But we need to have something established depending on the amount of the down payment. So for example, in the province of Manitoba, depending of your amount of down payment, you might not even need credit or job.
Okay.
You know, it all depends. It can be like 25%, 27%. It all depends. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be with one institution. It varies, right, in the province. In other provinces, it might be 50% the minimum for not caring about your income or your credit, or 30% or 40%. So actually ours is like, in a way, is very low. Now, if you want to buy with 5% or 10% because you have all this money but you don't want to use it all for a house because you have expenses, you have university, you have whatever,
Yeah.
then yeah, we can do it. But now it's based on your income in Canada. Or if it's outside of Canada, then we need some time for you to pay taxes for that. So it's a little bit more complicated. So let's keep it simple. Pretty much, let's say you and your husband are working. Now we use this combined income. And with this, you can buy with 5 or 10%. Now, if it's 5%, if you don't have credit, that's fine. As long as you show 1 year of rental payments
Yeah.
on time, never late, never a check return,
Okay.
no funds, something no. So everything on time. And then each person needs to pay one service. So I see a lot of mistakes on that. We left everything to pay for one person. But then if you want to use both, if she doesn't have a credit established, which is 2 credit cards for 2 years, then we have no option because she's not paying anything. So let's try to always, the rent, it doesn't matter, is a shared expense.
Sure.
But then let's say you pay the cell phone bill and internet and I pay hydro,
Okay.
or I pay the MPI payment, you know, because you didn't buy in credit, you bought in cash, the car.
Okay.
So that's very important. Let's keep that in place. If you put more down payment, then it's less and less amount of requirements. But in this case, that is like the lowest amount, and that's what you need. So let's make sure we make the payments on time. Let's make sure you get each of you a service in place, and let's make sure we never pay late because you don't have credit. So now any mistake is a big red flag, right? Yeah.
So is it better to open the account in order to build your credit score, you know, on a bank institution or just a credit union?
To be honest, I think you can go with either or.
Okay.
Some banks, big banks, have really nice, very, very nice programs for newcomers.
Okay.
Very nice. Or even for clients that are coming through. Like there's promotion, there's cashback, we give you this, we give you that. There's a lot of 2 years free and stuff. So depending on the institution you want to work with, they have different things. And credit cards can be better, right? When you have an institution that has Canada worldwide coverage, of course, has a stronger and better programs than a provincial one, right? But sometimes I will say, like, what matters is that you start right, no matter where, but you start doing the right steps. Because no matter which institution you're in, if you do everything wrong, then if you're trying to get to a different institution, they're not gonna help you because you already damaged your history. So opening a bank account won't give you credit score at all. But when you open a bank account, most likely they offer you a credit card. And then if you have a bank that has an application online, you can transfer everything like from your phone. Super easy.
Yeah.
You can make the automatic payment so you never pay late. Like there's so many things you can do that are amazing and automated, and then you don't have to worry.
Perfect. And for all those people that are newcomers and they want to buy a house right away, what's the best advice? Just wait, let's make a plan together, or
Each situation is different. There's some like we can sometimes use your international credit,
okay,
and then you just need to have like 3 months of work full time here, and then with that credit, then you're good to go.
okay, nice.
If you have a good income. If you don't, then it depends. If you have this big, powerful down payment, it doesn't matter. You can buy right away. The family, they each have needs. Some of them might have houses back home that they haven't sold yet, so they don't have that very strong down payment. That's when we have to wait, because you need to have certain credits, you need to have certain payments for a year. You need to have a job that is going to allow you to buy, right? But if you have a very big down payment, then another option's open where you don't need to have a job, like it all depends on the institution that is taking care of your mortgage. But you can buy as soon as you come, or you can buy 3 years from now.
Okay.
It all depends.
So there are a lot of newcomers that before they come to the country, they prefer to sell their houses, come with the money, and start with all the right benefits that they used to have back home, like a nice house, a nice car, etc. But how about if they don't like the country, right?
I mean, I always say, what's the worst that can happen? You just sell the house. Or you rent it until you can sell it.
Yeah.
Or, like, that's better than just losing money down the drain because you're paying rent.
Sure.
At the end, even if you lose some money, you are not losing the whole money.
Yeah.
And you can have a rental property in Canada. I mean, you're paying Canadian dollars.
Yeah.
So there's property manager companies that can take care for that. So it really depends. Like, of course, the dream for all of us is to come here and stay here, right?
Yeah.
That's what the purpose is. And to be honest, I haven't seen one family that has done everything right, and they were like, sorry, no, you have to leave the country. No.
Okay.
And if you really don't like the country, then you can always sell your property.
Sure. Yeah. So that's an investment. Michelle, to all the people that are watching you right now, what's your best advice as a mortgage advisor and immigrant?
I would say have zero fear of trying new things.
Okay.
And have zero fear of credit cards.
Okay.
Credit cards can be a blessing and open all the doors for you for any crazy dream your mind will take you to at some point of I want to open this business or whatever. If you do everything right as I have explained here, teach you, and if you have more questions, you can contact me. But really just not having that fear of credit because it will open all the doors for you if we do it right. We do it wrong, yeah, it will close everything. But if we do it right, it's like the best thing you can do. Then you have access to everything.
Yeah. And probably don't spend your credit cards as a crazy, right?
Yes, exactly. Like you use them wisely and they will open everything for you. I think that's the best thing. And you can always find me on my Instagram.
Yeah.
Is Michelle, L-E. Zabaro is Zabaro. You can find me there. And then from there, we can see what kind of, you can just, call me from there. My phone number, everything.
So your inquiries with her, basically.
Yeah, and then we can check exactly what you need and how I can help you. But definitely, you don't have to be in Canada for that. I have worked with a couple clients that are overseas, and we just explained them everything before, so they know what to do.
Yeah. Sure. So thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you so much for having me, Fernanda.
You're more than welcome.
I really love to be able to, show everybody from the beginning what to do, so then we start with the right fit. And I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you so much.
I hope all of you enjoyed this episode. We're going to have more episodes with Michelle because there's a lot of information that we need to share and talk about. Please don't forget to follow Multicultural channel on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram.